All right, what's up, everybody? We are live here on YouTube, youtube.com/@Candlestick Chronicles podcast, or just search Candlestick Chronicles on YouTube, and you will find us. If you're already watching, hello, salute, we appreciate you. If you're listening to this on the podcast, we would appreciate it if you jumped over on YouTube and at least just subscribe to the page and go like some videos. That would be cool. And if you're watching now, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we go live, which we do after each and every game. And just as you and I, Chris, predicted, the 49ers went into Cleveland and pretty thoroughly dominated that game. Hopefully people listen to the preview pod where you and I both laid out just kind of exactly what was going to happen.
I think I predicted the 49ers win, though. You were the one who had them losing this game.
Yeah, I was. So jokes aside, I was pretty adamant that the 49ers were going to lose. I did not like the spot for them coming off a Monday night game, 10 a.m. start in Cleveland, a place they haven't won in 40 years, a really good Browns defense. We just watched Brock Purdy turn it over 3 times against Carolina. Like, man, this is just a bad weather. There were just so many factors that played in, and Cleveland had some momentum. They were coming off a win over the Raiders with Shedeur Sanders starting, and I thought the tea leaves said that this was going to be a tough spot for the 49ers, and the first half went mostly how I thought the game was going to go. Cleveland ran the ball really effectively. The 49ers offense wasn't great. They got set up by a Sky Moore punt return at the 16-yard line that set up their touchdown. And I thought Kyle Shanahan's decision to punt from the 40 on a 4th and 4 that eventually led to the Browns' only touchdown drive of the game, it just reeked of, the coach is also worried about losing this game. Like, the coach doesn't think they can get 4 yards, and they're just going to punt. Like, I didn't love the spot, but man, they were so much better in the second half. It was just a different team in the second half. I thought they were more sound defensively. I thought Brock Purdy, we can start here, was really good today. And the second half went how I think this game should have gone, where the 49ers mostly dominated. I think the Browns had 76 yards of offense in the second half. They didn't score a point. Much better effort from the 49ers in the second 30 minutes, I thought.
Given how good Cleveland's defense was, it wasn't going to be a game where the 49ers were ever going to march up and down the field and score a bunch of points. And what ended up happening was they got a huge advantage on special teams, and they had the advantage on turnovers. We're kind of one and the same. Totally. And so the 49ers had 5 possessions that started in Browns territory, and they got 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So basically 24 of their points came on possessions that started in Cleveland territory, which gave them just the huge advantage in this game. And Cleveland's offense, Shedeur is bad. Like, Shedeur is really terrible today. But I thought the Niners defense did play well, and it improved against the run as the game went on. And it didn't really matter what the run defense was late in the game because the score was so lopsided. But there was a world where if the 49ers offense was going up against that defense and the special teams was bad, like it was last year, and if they lost the turnover battle, then that game becomes pretty precarious, right? Yep. But because they dominated on special teams, they won the turnover battle, they won the field position battle so decidedly.
Man,
it was a cruising victory. Like it, and to win that game by 3 scores the way they did, and to do it with the offense being largely ineffective, or at least it was effective in the offense was really good on 3rd down. It was really good on the red zone, but it wasn't effective in terms of like they're going to have an 18-play drive and go 90 yards. Like that wasn't going to happen against that defense in those conditions with that wind and the cold, just with this offensive line against that defensive line. But because of the field position game, and because I thought Brock Purdy played really, really well, and the numbers aren't necessarily going to reflect that, but it was just a very buttoned up type win, and a win that the 49ers, they did it in a way they needed to do it from the standpoint of like, all right, we need to win on special teams. We need to win the field position battle because the conditions in that defense are not going to allow us to just score 30 points organically. Like we need to create our own opportunities, and they created their own opportunities and they maximized them. And, you know, that's what you do leading to an 18-point win against a bad team with a bad quarterback, or at least a bad quarterback today. And Shador is bad today. Again, I don't want to harp too much on that, but like, we learned all about Shador on the broadcast. We learned all about Myles Garrett on the broadcast. There wasn't a whole lot of discussion about the 49ers being 9-4, despite all the injuries that they have, and finally hitting their bye week. So yeah, like it was a really, I think, as much as like last week's game against Carolina was sort of a discouraging performance because of the way they turned the ball over, this was an encouraging one because it's agree. Because Brock could have turned the ball over in this game.
Yeah,
right.
Time.
Like Brock threw the ball away. He avoided sacks. Like, we can talk about Brock, but just overall, it was the exact type of performance they needed to win that game comfortably.
Yeah, man. He was so we've turned game manager, the royal we have turned game manager into this like derogatory term for a quarterback. But not every quarterback can manage a game. And there are times where you need more than that. You need your quarterback to put the game on his right arm, and you need him to make some plays. The 49ers today, with how bad the Cleveland offense was, and the Browns were also way worse than I thought they were. That's the other factor in this. It's the Browns are ass, particularly offensively, and on special teams, apparently. But Brock Purdy today, the 49ers needed their quarterback to manage a game. And it's all the things you just mentioned. It was part of the reason the Browns only had one sack is A, I thought the offensive line did a nice job. But B, Brock Purdy flat out avoided some. Just created plays where maybe not turning them into positive plays, but avoiding the negative plays was really big. Not getting behind the sticks with sacks, not turning the ball over.
Just escaping the pocket and throwing the ball away. It felt like he did that 10 times today. And it's just what you have to do in a lot of those scenarios.
And it felt like that was the kind of play we saw a lot from him in 2022 and 2023. Because remember, Jimmy Garoppolo like never threw the ball away. It was a major problem. It was a major problem. Like, brother, just get rid of it. There's nothing there. Just live to fight another down. And I don't think Brock was doing a lot of that. He was constantly like trying to force a throw in here or trying to make a play there. And it was just, it's like, man, there's going to be plays there. Just throw this one away and get the next one. He was much better at that today. And that's something that I think's been missing from his game a little bit. And can you remember? I don't remember even a play where it was like, oh, God, that could have been intercepted. I felt like we were getting 3 or 4 of those a game, whether they got caught or not. And I don't even remember a play that was nearly intercepted today.
There was one, I want to say, in the third quarter, but it ended up being kind of a nothing play. It was like he threw to, I want to say Kittle or Juszczyk. I forget exactly, in the left flat. It was like tight. But yeah, to your point, like, this is what we talked about last week, was Brock saying to Lisa Salters before the game against Carolina, just like, I don't want to do too much. I want to take what the defense gives me. And then he goes out and throws a bunch of picks where it feels like he's forcing the issue a little bit. And today was a drastic improvement on that front. It was, all right, there's nothing there. I'm gonna escape the pocket. I'm gonna throw it away, and I'm not gonna play behind the sticks. Because like the formula for the 49ers is like, all right, run the ball, like be efficient in the running game and then build the rest of the offense off of that. They were not at all efficient in the running game. They only averaged 2.8 yards per carry.
Nope.
Right. Christian McCaffrey only had 53 yards.
They were not efficient. Yeah.
They were not efficient. Yeah.
Correct.
But they were still effective because of just how I thought Brock just played a really smart game. And he didn't force it. And the Niners being, what were they, 11 of 17 on third down, man, is crazy given that they only averaged 3.9 yards per play.
Yep.
Like, that's a hyper efficiency on third down, which was really impressive. 3 for 5 in the red zone, 3 for 4 in goal to go situations. And I think one of the only ones where they didn't convert, or actually the only one where they didn't convert, was the end of the first half, which was a brilliant drive by Brock to even get them in field goal range.
Yeah, great point.
Right.
That throw to Kittle was sick, by the way.
Yeah, and Kittle did a great job to catch it. Even though the defender ripped it out after he'd already been down. But no, man, it was the type of performance that Brock Purdy needed coming off of last week, in that, if Brock turns it over and if they miss that field goal at the end of the half, the one that bangs off the upright, which they were pretty lucky that it went in, to be honest.
Man.
This game looks a lot different. It just does. And that's sort of, I think that was the formula that you were anticipating, because we've been so conditioned to see the 49ers like, a couple turnovers, a missed field goal, a long kick return, whatever. And then it's like, all right, it's a 1-score game in the snow in Cleveland in, late November. And it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But instead, they avoided all those mistakes. They didn't turn the ball over. They dominated on special teams. And then you win comfortably by 3 scores.
Yep. Yeah, they
It's
got
just
the game,
a really clean game.
They got the game script in their favor, which it feels like they haven't been able to do, and they took advantage of some Browns miscues. Having Harold Fannin take a snap on a 4th and short from inside your own territory was insane. I don't know what that was, but it was really clear. Like in the first half, the Browns were doing everything offensively, was just every trick they had in the book. It was every screen. It was every misdirection. It was moving Shedeur Sanders out of the pocket. It was they were running out of things to do, I think, and you saw the Niners defense when the game script got in their favor when they went up 9 midway through the third quarter, and all of a sudden the Browns have got to go back to a more normal straight drop back passing game, and they just can't. Shedeur's not there yet. Their offensive line is super banged up. They don't have the playmakers to do that. And the 49ers secondary, you've talked about this before, the 49ers secondary is good. Their pass rush was better today, but still not awesome. And part of the reason that I think Shedeur was having a hard time finding open receivers is because the 49ers are doing a nice job in the secondary. So,
and when your number one receiver is Jerry Jeudy.
Correct. Right.
Problematic.
Yeah, they just don't have the dudes. They just don't have the guys. So, I again, do I suddenly feel better about the 49ers defense because they've given up 17 points in the last 2 weeks? No. Although Carolina hung up 31 on the Rams today. So maybe the Niners defense is back. Who knows?
Your number 1 seeded Chicago Bears.
Yeah, everybody watch out. So yeah, man, crazy. But I'm not saying the Niners defense is back or anything, but they were better today, and they were pretty good last week. So back-to-back strong defensive performances, and the offense came alive enough to push this one over the finish line comfortably.
It felt like the defense was going to be in trouble with that second quarter drive when the Browns ran it like 8 straight times and scored the touchdown on the.
Yep.
You had Luke Gifford. I think Nick Martin had been ruled out or was left the game at that point. Yeah. Luke Gifford is playing coverage in the flat. Obviously, it doesn't go well. It's an easy touchdown for Cleveland. Then you're like, all right, maybe Shedeur's building some momentum here. And then Curtis Robinson comes back into the game. He left the game in that drive. You had basically your 4th string Mike linebacker and Jalen Graham playing. The Browns run right down the Niners' throat predictably. Robinson comes back. The defense tightens up. The lead grows. The Browns can't run the ball as much. And then it becomes more comfortable for the 49ers. For them, like, that's the formula. And if it's, or I should say, because we've talked about the formula for them since the injuries, right? Since Fred Warner and Nick Bosa have gone out, we've talked about, like, the Niners offense just needs to be elite. They need to win, they need to win these like high scoring games and score 30 points and whatever. But honestly, if the special teams is going to give them an advantage like it did today, and again, it was really, really windy. Who knows if that's even replicable week after week. But Nick Wagner made the point in an incredibly prescient piece that he wrote for ESPN this week about the Niners' edge that they're getting on special teams. It's basically the way the numbers math out. They're basically like 7 points better per game on special teams than they were last year. And that's only going to increase with what happened today. That's a pretty substantial advantage. The offense might not need to score 30 points per game if they're going to have an advantage like that on special teams. And that's immensely powerful, potentially, like in the, I want to say powerful. I think important is probably a better word. But like the Green Bay playoff game in 2021, they basically won that game on special teams. You know
Shout out
what I
to Jordan
mean?
Willis.
So we're talking about the Niners are most likely going to be a wild card team. They're going to have to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs. Them winning a playoff game probably would take being really good on special teams. And so I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, but you're seeing signs of it. And I think that's a sign of positivity when you talk about the 49ers maybe pulling off an upset in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's such a, we always do our joke, like, keys to the game, right? And it's always the same. It's like red zone, turnovers, just all this really generic stuff. But jokes aside, like, special teams in that third facet and being good in all three facets matters. And if you're not going to have an advantage defensively, like you said, Sky Moore has been directly responsible for 2 49ers touchdowns this year by having big kick returns. Kick return against Arizona and the punt return today. Mm-hmm. And then you see the opposites, just not making mistakes on that side of the ball, where you have the Browns fumbling a punt return and Darrell Luter being exactly where he needed to be to pick that ball up. And then not making a mistake like, was it Malachi Corley, the receiver, who just stepped out of bounds on a kickoff? On a
Insane.
kick that was going to go out of bounds? Like, that's a 35-yard difference. Because he catches it at the 5, or they get it at the 40 if it just goes out of bounds. Like that, that's a mistake the 49ers would have made last year. And now they're getting the other teams to make those mistakes, and they're taking advantage of them.
And I don't need to remind 49ers fans how, like, crucial special teams mistakes can be in the biggest moments of the season in the playoffs. Right? Mm-hmm. Like the Niners lose a Super Bowl to the Chiefs in which the Chiefs get a touchdown following a muffed punt. A game that goes to overtime, the Niners lose that game.
Man.
Right? Kyle Williams in the NFC Championship game. Like, the special team stuff really, really matters. So, again, I'm not going to say that because they dominate on special teams against the Cleveland Browns in those conditions is necessarily going to translate to the playoffs. But what I will say is that it feels like those days of the special teams being a huge liability are over, and this has changed pretty dramatically because even early in the season, it was like, man, Brant Boyer's crew is not looking very great.
Right.
Like, it's not looking awesome, but now they're starting to round into shape, I think, which is particularly impressive given all the injuries. Like, often when you deal with injuries on an NFL roster, so many of your special teams guys are like starting and playing too much to where they're not contributing on special teams, and you have a bunch of practice squad dudes on special teams. The Niners have managed that pretty well, I would say.
They've got special teams depth out the wazoo.
Assistant GM Benali in the chat said it. Assistant GM Brant Boyer just really killing it as the season's gone on.
Executive of the year and coach of the year for the 49ers.
Assistant of the year.
Man,
is Kyle Shanahan going to get buzz for coach of the year? Is that going to be a thing?
Probably not, but he should. Like, this is insane. It doesn't. They're 9-4, and like you said today on the broadcast, you would have thought the Browns were the team that was 8-4 going into the day. And I'm not one to bitch about a broadcast. Like, I know how hard those guys work. I know how hard that job is. I'm not.
Right.
You really have to. And Kevin Harlan is one of the best doing it. Like, I straight
Absolutely.
up. But like you said earlier in this show, weird all about Myles Garrett, which, like, salute. He has 18 goddamn sacks, 19 now this year through 13 weeks. He's going to obliterate the sack record, and it's not even going to be close. So salute, like that matters. The Shedeur Sanders thing is one of the biggest stories in football right now. Whether you like it or don't, like, he moves the needle, and so they're going to cover that. I get it. But it's just getting glossed over because Kyle Shanahan has been such a good coach for going on a decade now, and the 49ers have been largely relevant for going on a decade now. They're 9-4 with this group of players. Cleveland Ferrell got 2 sacks today. He's now tied for the team lead in sacks. He's played 4 games. That's insane. Fred Warner's gone. Nick Bosa's gone. I don't have to relay. Like, he absolutely should. Tatum Bethune is out. Like, what are you? But yeah, man, I don't think he's going to get coach of the year buzz, but he absolutely should. It's going to take if they beat Tennessee, they go into that Monday night game against the Colts. Monday night or Sunday night?
Monday night.
Monday night against the Colts, because they have the back-to-back primetime games.
Mm-hmm.
If they go into that Monday night game against the Colts at 10-4 and beat Indy, now I think you start to get that buzz. And then if you're going up against the number 1 seed Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football the following week, that's where I think. But right now, it's just, I think people just expect the 49ers to be good, and so them being 9-4 doesn't really move anybody. But
yeah,
he should get Coach of the Year buzz.
He definitely should. The problem is that you have a couple first-year coaches who are currently in the 1 seed in their respective conferences. So Mike Vrabel and why am I blank? And Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I almost said Ben Peterson.
Ben Peterson not going to win Coach of the Year.
Different guy. Shout out to
Ben
the Atlanta
Johnson,
Thrash or wherever he is.
I think he's with the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, he was a hockey guy, came to the NFL, then went to the Atlanta Hawks. That's right.
The Thrash no longer exists.
Right,
but yeah, you have Mike Vrabel, 10-2 Patriots as a 1 seed in the AFC.
Vrabel should be the Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel rules.
And then you have Ben Johnson 9-3 with the Rams loss today. The Bears, as of this moment, are the 1 seed in the NFC.
That's so crazy.
I'm with you. I think everybody just kind of expects the 49ers to be like a strong outfit, right? The 49ers just have a lot of equity around the league. Like, oh, that's a well-coached team. That's a really good roster. Like, they should be in the mix. But you kind of have to like peel back the onion a little bit to be like, wait, how did this team get to 9-4? And then it's like, wait, Mac Jones started how many games? And who on defense is out? Like, it's not. It takes more work to see Kyle Shanahan's case than it does to be like, oh, first year coach Mike Vrabel, young quarterback, number 1 seed. Same with Ben Johnson, like first year coach, young quarterback, number 1 seed. That's really easy to say, oh, those guys should be leading for Coach of the Year, right, when it takes more work to see what Kyle Shanahan's doing.
It is kind of funny because again, this is not an anti-media thing. This is just facts. Media drives these narratives about coaches, right? Yeah. And teams. Like that's just kind of what it is. The prevailing narrative around the 49ers going into this season was like, wow, look at all the talent they lost. They lost so much talent. They lost so many guys. Oh my God. Talanoa.
What are they doing?
Greenlaw. Oh my, they are just, wow. Can they, and now they've lost a bunch of dudes to injury, and they're still 9-4, and it's not moving the needle. Man, what?
And they're way better than last year.
Way better. Yeah.
Like similar injury situations, but just way better than last year. Although maybe that just speaks to having Christian McCaffrey versus not having Christian McCaffrey.
Do you want to? I have multiple things to talk about with the 49ers defense. Do you want to talk about the homies at Lamb Chops first?
I sure do.
I'm
this
wearing
episode,
my Candlestick Chronicles hoodie right now.
Oh, hell yeah. This episode is brought to you by Lamb Chops, the official clothing provider, our favorite clothing brand. Shout out to Craig and Jordan. Over at Lamb Chops, SG Lamb Chops is the website. If you are following along on YouTube, you can see that the fall line is out. This black knit sweater, it's on sale. Man, you better jump all over this. This black knit sweater is just unbelievable. I'm going to wear it to the Kings game tonight.
Nice.
It is the nicest fabric that of any article of clothing I own. It just feels like a hug when you wear it. So shout out to them for that. The fall line, of course, all great stuff. And then the Candlestick Chronicles merch. We have t-shirts. We have hoodies. Kyle's wearing the hoodie. We got the full word mark on the back with the Lamb Chops logo. We got the small, subtle CC on the front.
I'm not turning around. I'm sorry. I'm not turning around.
Just a great hoodie. Use promo code Candlestick20 to save 20% off your order. I do believe that they have you spend $125 and get a free passport holder. I actually have the passport holder, and boy does it come in handy when you're traveling. So shout out to them. Black Friday up to 75% off. Not sure when the Black Friday sale runs through. Perfect. But I would guess it's still going on right now. So shout out to the homies at Lamb Chops.
Get that Candy Cron merch, baby.
Get the Candy Cron merch. I need to pull up the Prize Picks read. This is bad podcasting on my end.
I'll tell you what, while you're doing that, I got my ass kicked in Prize Picks over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I got 3 out of 6, as you can see on the screen. I'll go through that in a second, but first I got to let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5. Had a lot of stuff going on. Didn't do a lineup for today's game. Had the in-laws over at the family or for the holiday this week. A lot of family around. So did not make a Prize Picks for today's game, but we can go over my Thanksgiving special. I got 3 out of 6. It's not going to be enough to be in the money. Jahmyr Gibbs coming up, 3.5 yards short. Just really
brutal.
Just kind of a kick in the teeth here. Patrick Mahomes coming up 6 yards short, also a kick in the teeth, but it just shows how the people at Prize Picks know what they're doing. So I missed on Mahomes. I had more than 267.5 passing yards, did not hit. Jahmyr Gibbs more than 71.5 rushing yards, did not hit, but I did hit on Dak Prescott going more than 262.5 passing yards. I had Christian Watson scoring a TD. Jake Ferguson had a touchdown. What was it? It was ruled incomplete, or there was a penalty on it. I forget, but he made the catch. It looked like a touchdown.
You were right in spirit.
I was the spirit of the rule. I was absolutely right, but the touchdown did not count. And I had Travis Kelce scoring a touchdown. That one hit, but sadly, 3 out of 6 does not get you paid on Prize Picks. I don't hate my picks. Like, these were all pretty close. Yeah. Don't hate them at all. Feel good about the effort this week. Thought we were prepared. Love the game plan. It just didn't come together, and sometimes that happens. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Candlestick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code Candlestick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Yeah, it is. It also sucks to be wrong.
It does.
Tough. You mentioned Jalen Graham earlier, and Jalen Graham, of course, if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, or if you're an avid reader of The Athletic and Matt Barrows, which you should be, you'll know that when he spoke with Scott McCloughan, McCloughan, who helped build the 49ers defenses of the Jim Harbaugh era, helped build the foundations of that, was like, this is that dude. Jalen Graham can flat out play.
He drafted Navarro Bowman and Pat Willis.
Right. So Scott McCloughan knows what he's talking about. And so I have decided in my brain that Jalen Graham is going to be awesome. And I've anchored to that take. And when he got in the game today, when Curtis Robinson got hurt, Jalen Graham, who's on the practice squad via the Commanders because he hadn't made the 49ers, I was like, it's time. I can't wait. Jalen Graham's going to get out there. He's going to look like an NFL linebacker. He's going to surpass Curtis Robinson. They're going to cut Curtis Robinson. They're going to put Curtis Robinson on the practice squad. They're going to promote Jalen Graham. And my 2023 takes are going to be vindicated. He got wiped off the map on 2 consecutive run plays and was out of the game because Curtis Robinson was ready. Jalen Graham, I don't think is going to make it in the NFL, guys.
A late 7th round pick in 2023, bounced around a little bit. Has played in... before today, 13 NFL games, all with the 49ers, and has 9 combined tackles. Yeah, I mean, McCloughan's not going to be perfect. You would take drafting Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, and then, all right, if the late 7th round pick doesn't hit, that's okay. Sometimes that happens for talent evaluators.
Yeah. Is John Lynch on the hot seat?
No, I think it's I don't know. I don't want to do a whole thing on like John Lynch getting a bad rap. I think people sort of like, when the expectation of a GM, or like you look at a roster and say, oh, this is a really good roster, and then there are some like problematic things in the weeds. Sometimes you miss the forest for the trees when you like, man, this 4th round pick didn't work, or too many picks. Like, sure, would you like more 49ers draft picks to work? Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you also take all of the injuries that the 49ers had and still be 9-4 going into their week 14 bye? Like, yes. So like, why are we don't need to replace John Lynch just because something, like, look around the league and look at all the failures. Relative.
Do people really
want
John Lynch gone?
No. But I see it. Like, I see like anytime there's a roster move and it's like, oh man, this draft pick's not playing today, or look at all these rookies from the draft class that are inactive. It's like, we got to fire the GM because they suck at this. It's like, do we?
Sure.
Do you have a ready-made replacement? Like, would you take a bunch of other scenarios throughout the NFL? Would you take, anyway, I think we lose the forest or the tree sometimes when we see like, oh my God, these third round picks aren't playing.
Sure.
Guys,
Nick Martin got
bigger picture
too.
Let's keep the bigger picture in mind.
Marquise Siegel active today though.
Hey, we love to see it.
Classic curveball by Shanahan, making Jordan Watkins a healthy scratch, by the way. That's why they hung up 26 points. Jim Schwartz was in the lab dialing up how to adjust his defense for Jordan Watkins.
To be a fly on the wall in Jim Schwartz's office when those inactives came out.
Multiple tables were flipped, I heard.
Yeah. Slamming.
No, I do want to bring it back to today's game for at least a couple more minutes. But to that point, just real quick, you talk about people wanting people fired. And there have been plenty of people over the last couple of years that have been like, Kyle Shanahan's cooked, he's done. They've figured out his offense, et cetera, et cetera. And like nobody ever has an idea of what they want to do to replace him. And I don't think there are that many coaches active in the NFL right now who would have this football team at 9-4. And I certainly don't think there are any non-head coaches who would have this team at 9-4 right now. Somebody though, when I asked them, when they said, Kyle Shanahan's got to go, they figured his offense out. And I said, okay, what's your replacement? They said, trade 2 first-round picks to Kansas City for Andy Reid. Hell yeah. No, I love living in reality. Doing things in reality is tight.
The Chiefs are, hold on. The Chiefs are 6-6.
They've probably had how many games has generic backup quarterback A started for them though? Like that's the real question.
Probably a lot.
It's got to be so many. If they're 6-6, yeah, they got to be.
No, I think we assign probably too much success and too much blame to coaches. I would say.
I tend to agree with you.
But I mean that's always the key point with Shanahan. Like, is Shanahan a perfect coach? No. Was Bill Belichick a perfect coach? Absolutely not. You know what Bill Belichick also was? Like one of the 3 best coaches ever.
Correct.
So
maybe are we sure?
Well, are we letting North Carolina tarnish his legacy?
North Carolina the last couple of years in New England? Nah. I'm joking.
Point being, like, it's, if Kyle Shanahan were to get fired, or the 49ers were going to decide that Kyle Shanahan's not the coach anymore, they would have to trade him because it would be dumb to fire him and get nothing for him, because he's one of the few head coaches that if it were to go poorly, they would trade him because they could go get like meaningful draft capital for him.
Yes, correct. That is absolutely a thing that would happen.
And he would be one of the most coveted head coaches on the market, if not the most coveted head coach on the market.
He would get however many coaching openings there are. He would get that many interviews, and I think there would be teams willing to fire their coach to hire him. Yeah. Just in case you're tuning in, since we're doing this live, we're not talking about firing Kyle Shanahan. That came from a conversation about whether Kyle Shanahan is going to be coach of the year. And then I made a joke about John Lynch to be fired because Jalen Graham hasn't worked out as a late 7th round pick from 2023, and that's what got us down that road. So, anyways, if you just tuned in, we're not talking about firing Kyle Shanahan. Yeah. We're trying to do the opposite. I thought their defense was really good today, though. Malik Mustafa is a player.
He just hits the shit out of people.
It's every time, and it just the way he triggers getting downhill. No, but like was it the 4th down? Was it their first 4th down run where Jordan Elliott got through and Mustafa just off the was in the backfield before the defensive tackle was? The defensive tackle decidedly won his rep.
I had just assumed it was D Winters because it was like, oh, like a defender from the second level penetrated and got like a really good hit on the running back. No, it was Malik Mustafa, like a 5'9", 205 pound bowling ball who just like he's one of those rare players where it's like every time he makes a hit, no matter how much momentum the offensive player has going forward, it's either like a stalemate or he's knocking the offensive player backwards. Like that, and that was a thing. Do you remember Fred Warner's first 2 seasons when the discussion surrounding him was like, yeah, like Fred's got a lot of promise, but he doesn't tackle with enough force, and too many
Short
players get like
arms.
too many players like continue their forward momentum after like he wraps them up, and like Fred doesn't just tackle with enough force. Like Mustafa as a young player is already past that. He's already beyond that check mark. Like he just if he hits a running back who has 20 pounds on him, the running back is still falling backwards
Yep.
on contact. And it's really impressive. I don't know how good he is in coverage. And I would tend to think he's fast for sure, and he plays fast, but he's not doesn't have the longest arms. But man, with the way Robert Saleh utilizes him and near the line of scrimmage, he plays like a fourth linebacker.
Yeah.
And he's becoming a really, really interesting player. And I think I don't know if he's going to be like a Pro Bowler in the future, but you feel really good about what you have in him going forward.
Yeah, man. I was going into the year. I was like, what are the Niners going to do at safety? They don't have enough guys there. And then Marquise Siegel was really good in camp and in the preseason, and I thought was playing well to start the year. But they found something here with Jair Brown and with Malik Mustafa. I'm not totally sure that Jair Brown is a super high quality player. You just take some bad angles, misses some tackles, but
Not very fast.
Not super fast. But overall, they've figured something out with this pair that has been effective. Of course, Jair Brown coming off the NFC Defensive Player of the Week honor. So there were so many times today where it's like, oh, nice hit. Oh, that was Malik Mustafa. Where did he come from? Like, he kind of continues doing that. So salute to Malik Mustafa, who I was worried about coming off the ACL, and he's coming back mid-season. He's coming into this weird safety room, and he's just carved out an important role.
Death of Takeo in the chat talks about said Robert Saleh is coordinator of the year. No one has done a better job with less. It's hard to disagree, man. Bob Saleh's been cooking with grease for the vast majority of the season, and it was apparent in week 1. So many young players missed time in training camp, like Michael Williams, like Nick Martin, like it just what's his name? Defensive tackle, Texas. Alfred Collins missed a bunch of time early on.
Also developing nicely.
Developing very nicely, and it looked like he would be. I thought somebody would be inactive for most of the season.
Yep.
Playing a lot and playing at a reasonable level. Like Robert Saleh is getting these dudes at minimum to play hard. They play really, really hard.
Yep.
They also are very assignment sound.
Yep.
And they'll give up plays for sure because it's not the most talented group, particularly in the front 4 and maybe even just the front 7, given all the injuries. But they play hard. They're assignment sound, and you just feel really good about their chances. And they're also really good in short yardage, like fourth and short. You feel really good about.
Yeah.
The Niners defense will give up 5 yards of carry for most of the game, but like when it's 4th and 1 and it's time to make a big play, like it just feels like they do it often. I don't know what it is about that.
Even the 2-point conversion the Browns converted, that was as little as you can get into the end zone while still getting a touchdown.
There wasn't a great angle on that either.
I agree with you. When they showed the angle on the broadcast, they were like, "Oh yeah, look right there, he got in." I'm like, "You did?"
That angle does not prove anything.
I did not agree. But yeah, man, even on that, like if he got in by like a blade of grass.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really. Speaking of that group up front, Keon White is on his Charles Omenihu arc, and it feels like week after week, just another splash play here, another splash play there. Today, he had the play where he got outside to hit Harold Fannin, the tight end. He didn't wrap him up, but then on the next play, blew up a run for a loss. He had a sack, his first full sack with the 49ers. Keon White has been a nice addition to a banged up front. I'm excited to see, and I think this is probably what they're excited for, and the reason they got him is, okay, However he helps this year, great. But what does he look like next year in a healthier, more well-developed version of the 49ers defensive line? I think that's where his future gets exciting.
The Niners have been without their top 4 defensive ends, or at least their top 3 for the vast majority of the season.
People for including Gross Matos in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick Bosa, defensive player of the year from a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Your first round draft pick, Michael Williams, 11th overall. Sam Amenahu, who played so much last year and was going to be a bit role. Sam Okuwanu, sorry. Who was going to be a rotational guy this year, ends up starting, having to play a ton because of the injuries to the first 3 guys. Yeturgos Matos was going to be like, oh, you can play him inside, you can play him out. Like, we really like the talent, blah, blah, blah. 4 guys they've been without for the vast majority, and they're getting production from Cleveland Ferrell and Keon White.
Bryce Huff also missed 3 games.
And Bryce Huff missed some time too. So, yeah, like, it's impressive. It's not a good pass rush. I'm not going to sit here and say the 49ers are a great pass rushing team.
For sure.
But it doesn't... They're I would say outperforming their talent level. And I think that's a credit to Keon White. It's a credit to Cleveland Ferrell, and it's a credit to Robert Saleh and Chris Kasurik.
I can't believe Cleveland Ferrell was just available.
Yeah.
Like, he's an NFL player, man. Like, he's a rotational defensive end. I don't know why.
He's got a great sack celebration. I love the fishing thing he does.
Yep, really good. Really
good.
Reeling
it in. That's a good one.
He's tied for the team lead in sacks now. That's so crazy.
Remember, Clemson won the national championship at Levi Stadium.
Oh, yeah, it's a great point.
Against Alabama.
And then he went, 4th overall?
Like, to the Raiders, yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Yeah, I think I've told the story about that one. We can talk about offline. Nick and I were there, and we talked to
Mike Mayock.
Mike Mayock before
Raiders
the game.
GM.
Raiders GM Mike Mayock was on the sideline before the game, and we're just kind of like shooting the shit with him, and he's like, "Yeah, you draft from this game, and there will be, you'll get some great grades across the internet." And that was like Josh Jacobs, Jerry Jeudy, Trevor Lawrence, was...
Oh my God, I'm trying to...
Tua was in that game.
Was Isaiah Simmons in that game?
Isaiah Simmons was in that game.
They had that, the receiver, I think he's with Kansas City now, who had the neck spinal fusion thing.
I'm probably...
the dude.
Will Anderson was probably in that game.
No.
There are probably so many guys I'm missing. But, like... Mike Mayock goes, yeah, we draft from this game, and we're gonna get great draft grades on the internet. And then he takes Cleveland Ferrell 4th overall or whatever it was. It's great stuff.
And
he drafted Josh Jacobs.
If you win the internet, then salute.
I think, didn't they take a guard from Alabama too, and he didn't end up playing?
Oh yeah, Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah,
not a good
second
player.
or 3rd round pick.
Not an
anyway,
effective player.
That is beside the point. Niners winning Cleveland for the first time since 1984.
What were you doing in 1984?
I was a twinkle in my parents' eye at that point. Potentially. I don't even know if my parents were married yet, actually. They might have been. I think my parents got married in 85. I could be wrong about that, but yeah. So twinkle in somebody's eye.
My folks were definitely not married yet in 1984. Yeah. Shout out, Mama.
Crazy. But no, it was just... I mean, they go into the bye week 9-4. It was just a buttoned up performance.
That's a good word for it.
It was. They weren't gonna move the ball a ton offensively. They were gonna need to win an ugly, sort of grimy game. They did. Special teams dominated. They won the field position game. Like, that might have been the best field position the 49ers have had, like, throughout an entire game in years, I feel like.
Yeah, toward the end of the game, they showed that their average starting field position was their own 41.
Yeah.
That's like every time the opposing team kicks off, they kick it out of bounds.
Right.
That's a good way to win a game. Yeah, I agree with you. There was never a point once they got ahead, once they scored again to go up, 17-8. I thought it was a wrap. I didn't think Cleveland was going to score twice, unless they got a pick six or something weird happen. And the 49ers just
Yeah.
played a really sound game to ensure that kind of mistake didn't happen. It wasn't the kind of performance that you go, can this team win the Super Bowl? But it was the kind of performance that makes you feel really good about their ability to stay buttoned up and beat Tennessee. And then can you win one or two of those final three against Indianapolis, Chicago, and Seattle? And if you win one, you're certainly in the playoffs. If you win two, you might mess around and work your way into the number one seed conversation.
If they play like that down the stretch, then they will feel like a team that could potentially punch above its weight in the playoffs.
I agree.
Like if they play like the Rams' best game is going to beat the 49ers no matter how well they play.
Totally.
The Eagles' best game, the Lions' best game, if they make it, probably beating the 49ers no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But you catch a team on an off day, and like the 49ers could potentially be that team that just like, I'm not surprised at all they beat Tampa on the road in the playoffs or Philly on the road in the playoffs or whatever. Like, none of that would surprise me if they continue sort of this trajectory that they're on. I would not pick them to go to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't pick them to, win multiple playoff games even. But at this point, when you're a wild card team that's probably going to be in the 7th or 6th seed, like the fact that you might be able to punch above your weight and scare some teams, I think is a positive place to be given all the injuries that you've dealt with.
Yeah, man. I'm totally with you.
Which is disappointing. I mean,
they're going to be
disappointing because if this team had Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, and Brandon Ayuk,
mm-hmm.
like they might actually have been like an actual contender, but
I agree.
It is what it is at this point.
I think the best case scenario for this season, given the way the season has gone, not before the year, best case scenario before the year was what you just talked about. They're healthy and they're contending for a Super Bowl, come December. The best case scenario, given how the season has actually gone, is they go into the playoffs and they're just the team nobody wants to play. Like, they're the team that everybody's going in going, all right, hey man, they've got to go to Philly. Philly's favored by 3.5, but nobody wants to touch that game because Philly might put up 10 points.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I don't know that I'll pick them to win a playoff game should they make it, but I will feel like they can probably win any game they play if they continue playing like they did today, where it's just buttoned up, not turning the ball over, win on the margins. You're gonna win a lot of NFL games doing that.
I think it was Danny Heifetz, friend of the show, former guest of the show. We should have him on again at some point.
Okay.
He said in a podcast, I don't think it was recently, but it really stuck with me. He said happiness is basically results minus expectations.
Expectations minus reality.
Sure. I think it's results minus expectations. But anyway, I don't know. One of the two. Anyway, if the 49ers go in and win a playoff game, like, okay, say the 49ers are completely healthy and like what the expectation is like, no, this team needs to go to the Super Bowl. It's a down year in the NFC. Like, this is a really good team. If they go into the playoffs playing with house money, then that could be a really fun situation where it's like nobody expects them to do anything, but they could absolutely beat anyone in the NFC in any given week.
Yeah.
Like, if they're buttoned up on special teams or not turning the ball over, they can hang with a mediocre defense. Robert Saleh can get them playing at a baseline that you can win with.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're turning the ball over, if they're missing kicks, if they're playing terrible on special teams, then it's a wrap because the defense isn't good enough to overcome that. But they can overcome a bad defense if their offense is good and their special teams is winning for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they got to come up with stops here and there. Generating turnovers definitely helps.
Yeah.
But if they have a better chance than I would have thought had you told me before the season, hey, they're going to go to the playoffs with all these injuries. Given the way they played today, it makes me feel like, oh. And last week's performance against the Panthers looks a lot better after the Panthers beat the Rams 31-28.
That's wild.
Matthew Stafford turned it over 3 times. Matthew Stafford threw 2 interceptions in 3 throws. He had 2 interceptions all season.
Crazy.
Ejiro Evero is going to be a head coach next year. or he should be. San Francisco, by the way, now 2 games ahead of Detroit for the final playoff spot.
I believe the New York Times has a playoff predictions model. It had the Niners at a 94% probability to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Before coming on this podcast.
I mean, it feels like 10 wins is going to get it done in the NFC.
Yeah.
Can you win 1? Because Dallas can get to 11 and Detroit can get to 11 if both those teams win out. But did Dallas play Detroit? Dallas plays Detroit next week.
So the Niners have their bye. Home to Tennessee, they'll be favored by a lot. At Indy, which will be a fascinating game. Home to Chicago, also potentially a fascinating game. And then week 18, home to Seattle. So they get the bye, they get a favorable matchup against Tennessee, and then bangers only the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, man. You beat Tennessee and you win one of those 3 games, preferably one of the NFC ones, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's a good spot to be.
And I think they can do that.
The Seattle game, I mean, they win if they beat Tennessee and, if they win one, if they beat Tennessee and win one of the Indy and Bears games, then week 18 might not mean a whole lot to them.
Yeah.
It might be the difference between like the 6 and 7 seed, but ultimately, like,
that'd be crazy.
I don't know that they really care. I think they would prefer to have their stars healthy going into the playoffs than, fight for the 6 seed over the 7 seed. I don't think that really matters all that much.
Right now, it'd be the difference between going to LA or going to Philly. I might fight for the 6 seed.
I mean, it's a bit, yeah. You'd rather play a cold game against the Eagles, who did not look good on Friday, or would you rather go to? I think
I'd rather play the Eagles right now. The Eagles are a mess.
But have you heard that at SoFi Stadium, a ton of Niner fans go?
What do you mean?
Like a lot of 49ers fans go to games at Levi's because SoFi, but some call it Levi's South because there's so many Niners fans there.
But it's SoFi Stadium. Why would it be? Did Levi's buy the naming rights?
No, just because of all the 49ers fans who go to games at SoFi. They call it Levi's South.
Oh, like a joke. Oh, it's like a second home stadium.
Right.
So they wouldn't really be going on the road.
Right. And the Niners fans are so loud that sometimes the home team will have to go to the silent count.
Get out of town.
Yeah, that'll happen. Didn't seem to happen in Cleveland. Didn't get a whole lot of faithful content in Cleveland today.
Hey, if you're a 49er fan or a Browns fan who happens to be listening to this podcast and you were at the game today, first of all, if you are a Browns fan who was at the Cleveland and San Francisco game, who's also tapped into Candlestick Chronicles, I need you to reach out to me immediately. I will buy you a sweatshirt. Secondly, shout out to everybody who sat through that game today in person. That just sounded awful. The wind sounded horrendous, and they were talking about it dropped 10 degrees during halftime. Like, no thanks.
They were talking about people like banging on the bleachers. There was a loud noise you could hear from the broadcast. It sounded like metal clang. Mm-hmm. They have bleachers at an NFL stadium that's not Lambeau Field? It's like kind of a modern-ish state. I know they're going to replace it, but that stadium was built in 1997 or something?
Sure.
Later than that? I don't know.
No,
it doesn't feel like that stadium should have bleachers in it, particularly if it's going to be 30 degrees and windy, but whatever.
Yeah,
you're not Lambeau. Lambeau can get away with having bleachers.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right. That's all I got. Unless you want to talk about Ohio State, Michigan.
Dominant. But honestly, Jeremiah Smith fumbled, so this win doesn't count. Dude,
just
that's
like the dumbest.
What's his name? Sharon Moore saying that, yeah, that was a big piece of it. Like, you got dog walked, dog. Like, you don't no, you don't get to say that was the game. Fuck out of here.
Do we forget the rules of football? Like, he caught it, had possession. Yes, he bobbled it as he went out of bounds, but he established possession before that and never dropped the ball.
Right.
Like, why do we forget the rules of football in situations like this?
Because beating beating Ohio State is all they have.
You know what's really, like, I'm so proud of those. Hold on. I'm so proud of those Michigan men for preventing Ohio State from planting the flag. Just an unbelievable show of strength by those Michigan men, the Wolverine football players, from preventing Ohio State, who wasn't going to do it anyway, from planting the flag at midfield. Just look, say what you want about the football game, but the fight and strength and resilience that those guys showed after the game was over, after getting dog walked on your home field, it points to the integrity of that program.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Really great stuff.
And that's the real Wolverines. Yeah, that's the real W. Like, did Ohio State win the national championship last year? Yes. But they also got a flag planted at midfield of their home stadium. So does it really count? Is Michigan going to win the championship this year? No. But they avoided the dreaded flag planting, which at the end of the day, I honestly, does the CFP committee move them up top 10? Some are saying.
Tough times for the Michigan Wolverines, really. I mean, you have a national championship that's been completely scandalized by the sign stealing scandal. You have
by the scandal could work.
Thank you. You have the head coach of that team just bolting for the NFL and avoiding all accountability for any of it, which is just fantastic stuff. It's also not working out super awesome for Jim Harbaugh, at least this season. You have Sharon Moore, who I don't know if he's the worst play caller I've ever seen, but he's certainly not the best. And you have all of these sanctions from the signs stealing scandal that make it really difficult to hang with the likes of the national powers like Ohio State and maybe some others. Maybe Indiana is coming for Michigan's throne as the number 2 team or the number 2 brand in the Big Ten. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, now Michigan can no longer hang on to supremacy in the rivalry against Ohio State. I just feel for all these super outspoken Michigan alums who say what you want about Michigan alums. They will let you know where they went to school, maybe better than any other alumni base in the country.
I know everybody who went to Michigan because they will tell me. By the way, speaking of Jim Harbaugh, his Chargers now deadlocked at 7 with the Raiders with 1:50 to go in the first half. The plucky Las Vegas Raiders.
They've had injuries and it's tough season for them, but
yeah,
just it's like what
injuries?
What coincidental timing for Jim Harbaugh to take that job with the Chargers at the same time that Michigan gets levied with all these sanctions from their scandalized national championship.
I love this for you. I'm loving the victory lap. I would like to not be doing this podcast anymore.
Let's go. All right. Kings Grizz. Gotta lock in.
That's Chris Bearderman. I'm Kyle Madsen. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast, rate, review. Make sure to follow us subscribe to the channel on YouTube, youtube.com/@Candlestick Chronicles podcast, or you can, of course, search Candlestick Chronicles on YouTube and we pop up right there. We will talk to you guys next time. Shout out to Al Roker.
See ya.